Good morning, guys. Oh, it is 65 degrees. It is Tuesday, still the beginning of the week. I'm Trooper Steve, your traffic safety expert here at WKMG News 6. We're live in Results 1. I feel more aware than I was definitely with you yesterday. I don't know why that was so... It may have come across fine to you guys, but I was struggling trying to explain all that stuff yesterday. At least I was. I can hear sirens somewhere. It is a nice day outside. It's going to be an average week. Really good temperatures. The cold is kind of gone. It's just finally comfortable. And I have a crazy week. And I need to catch up with people because some people aren't communicating and they want me to do an event. So I've got a lot to do. But I was sent a message talking about, hey, Steve, can you talk about the do's and don'ts, the information reference when it comes to roadway markings versus posted street signs? And I thought that was a really, really great conversation to have, because what I'll say to just knock it out of the park right now is they work in conjunction with each other. There is a true harmonious relationship that takes place between our roadway markings and our traffic signs. They could not work if just one existed, although sometimes they do, because we're talking dirt roads and stuff like that. But 99% of the time, where there is a posted sign, like out here in this parking lot, a stop sign, there's going to be also markings on the roadway. And markings are designed to define certain areas. And we're just going to go over some quick basic stuff, and then I want to drive and talk, because I think that's the best way that I do, and the way I get to thrive by explaining things. It's not just real documentation, but going through the movements in conjunction with each other, right? So let's talk about a few things. First, traffic signs. What's the purpose of a traffic sign? Like a stop sign, it's to communicate a message to a driver, either using a text, some type of symbol, or graphic. Now, I don't have 4 hours to sit with you during a driving class and teach you what each sign means, but we do have the opportunity to tell you what they intend to define, right? Examples of signs, stop signs. We're talking what? An octagon. I might be wrong there. Yield sign, triangles, speed limit signs in a square, or directional signs, right? Giving you which way you're supposed to go. They'll always be mounted on some type of pole off to the side of the roadway or above the roadway. What do I mean when I say above the roadway? Sometimes we see the signs that say no right on red, and that's going to sit next to the traffic light. So these are regulatory signs. So they give information that display what the rules of the roadway are for that specific area, accordance with the law. All right. There's also things like warning signs. So this will go off here. I've been asked this. Those signs when you're exiting the highway or on a ramp, those orange ones, those are what we call guide signs. Guide signs provide navigational information. Exit signs, highway route markings, road curve ahead, suggested speed, things like that, animal crossings, and they're giving you the information that you need for the purpose of what you need to comply with. So if I'm approaching a stop sign, I have to stop, and then if there's another sign that says maybe with an arrow and says only, then I can only turn in that direction, but I need to make sure I stop first. All right. When it comes to the markings on the roadway, this is our guideline. This is telling you how you're going to follow these directions and where you're going to do it at. All right. We're talking providing guidance directly on the roadway surface, and it's pretty much indicating like your proper lanes, boundaries, and then limitations or restrictions. So yes, I can do the speed limit. I can do 45 and a 45, but I need to do it within these parameters. All right. Solid lines, usually located on the far right of the roadway. well, we'll talk about both. Solid or dashed lines for lane division, passing, stop bars, and stuff like that. Symbols. Sometimes we'll see the arrows out on the roadways. Some things that indicate bike lanes, so that you know that this, between this solid line and that solid line, and they put the bike emblem, that's going to be your bike lane. So white lane separations are for same direction traffic or crosswalks, all right? White, the color white, same direction. Yellow, I get this one a lot, is a divider. That's a divider indicator. It's opposing traffic will be always on the opposite side of a yellow line, okay? One thing I've never seen on a public roadway are red lines. I've never seen it. I'm sure they exist, but I have not had the opportunity in the traffic world to see stuff like that. No entry, restricted areas. Maybe we could say like Lockheed Martin or Patrick Space Force Base probably has those, because we're getting into either DoD contracting or federal property out by the military base. Regulatory lines. This is a big one. So these are the only lines on the roadway that are run in conjunction with a posted traffic sign. What am I talking about? Stop bar or crosswalk, because you must yield to those or stop to those, right? And then, yeah. So in short, real quick, before we hit the road here, signs provide information from above the ground, while markings provide on the road visual cues to enforce or guide the traffic. But what's the key thing? Both are essential for each other. So like here, I know where the stop sign is. The good thing is there's a stop bar. But on the floor there's also a crosswalk. So therefore, I must stop at the stop bar where the stop sign is to yield left and right to people in the crosswalk and the roadway. So this is going to be a very formal conversation. I like this kind of stuff. So here, almost similar to what we were talking about, look at here. I have a stop sign, but it says right turn only. So in conjunction with each other, I have to stop. It's telling me from here I can only make a right turn. So that's all I can do. Look at here. The indicator's on the ground. I can either go straight or I can make a right. Now, for example, just as an example, if I was to come here, could I make a right from here? Absolutely not, because the markings in the roadway have indicated that this is a through lane only. And now that we moved here, I'm not going to go over to the right because we're just going to go across the street here. But you got to think about it as your mind, almost like, I can't believe, a little older, but very similar to how ChatGPT works. Your brain is is ChatGPT, or an AI program, and it is grabbing information constantly. And that's what our eyes are doing. So our eyes are seeing things, and it is deciphering what it's seeing, relaying it to your brain so that you can properly react. We don't even think about what we're doing here. We just do it because we know it. So that's how this works. How often are you thinking about how you're driving in and out of traffic? You change a lane, but you don't take the moments to go, wow, I know how to do this because the travel lanes are telling me. But that's how this works. So without the travel lanes, think about this. If we're sitting here, I'm sitting here, where am I at? Gateway Drive on State Road at 434. We're facing westbound on Gateway Drive. Going to go cross over. I'm in the right travel lane, but I'm stopped here for two main reasons. One, the traffic light tells me I can't go anywhere. And two, the stop bar on the ground indicates to me that this is where I should stop for the traffic light. Make sense? I know it's super easy, but when I get asked these questions, guys, I get excited to explain this, especially when it's a little bit bigger than how we normally process things. This truck next to me is so loud. But then it's also a double because you have the crosswalk as well, and there's a good enough distance. Now, if you're a pedestrian You need to be walking in the crosswalk. You don't need to be like this Tesla that just ran. See? Clown. Tesla in the clown. He pulled out so fast, didn't stop at the stop bar, proceeded through the crosswalk on a red to where that U-turn driver had to yield to him. No, that's not how it works. If the Tesla driver would have stopped at said stop bar marking on the roadway for the red traffic light prior to making a right on red, that would have never happened. So you see how your brain's constantly going through some different things and deciphering what is happening. All right, so we're going to continue through here on Gateway, cut across here. Obviously, we're in the green. We're good to go. I'm staying in the right travel lane. Speed limit sign, 35 mile an hour. So we're at 30, and I'm cruising pretty good here. So what's happening here? You constantly look. Right lane must turn right. So I don't want to turn right. We're going to come on over. Now, if I'm going to slow down here for a second. If I would have done it late and went through, would I have been violating a traffic control device? Yes, because the markings on that roadway act as a traffic control device because it is your traffic lane. It's not a traffic sign, it's a control device. I'm making sense to me. I hope I'm making sense to you. All right, we're going to pull a U-turn here. I'm over at Lotus Vista by Crescent Palace. Unique names for some of these condos around town. So we're head back, 30 mile an hour speed limit here. And we're cruising at 25. A single lane. Why? Because there's no other markings. Can't fit more than another car here, so we're cruising nicely, all right? No indicators here. We have no roadway markings. We have no signs. What do we get to see here? A solid line. We're going to make a left. A solid white line dividing the beginning of a travel lane. Turning signal on, and we're turning. But look what happens when we turn. This turns into a left turning lane. How do I know it? Because it's indicated. So I'm going to get on over, and I'm going to exit that. Up ahead, a sign posting crosswalk. Roadway markings, marking said crosswalk. So if someone was going to cross here, what would I have to do? I'd have to yield prior to or at the sign, but never crossing in to the crosswalk. I'm actually having really fun talking about this, but it just proves on how much of a nerd I am. So here, we're approaching a Lynx bus. You have to yield to public transit here. The law specifically says it. So this guy passing like this, single lane, improper passing. Clown number 2. Florida tag, KER P43, Honda Civic. That improper passing, illegal. Why? Because we're on a single travel lane at a bus transit, and there was no other lane to go. If there was another lane, there would have been markings in the roadway. Wake up. Because what happens, although not a school bus, but what happens if someone was getting up and walked up front? That dummy, that clown, went around, not even a lane present. If there was a lane present, then hey, you can do that. Like here, this would be legal. Because Florida law says if it stops and causes a long-term obstruction, something like that, and you could safely do it, you could pass. On that other vehicle, there was no space to do that, nor a separate travel lane. We got some roadway markings here. Up on the top. Look at the top here. You can't read it, but it says turning lane. This is a unique one. We're at 434 at Trailwood, Lotus Landing Boulevard. So next to that traffic light up there, you can't see it. It says turning left in yellow. So what is that? A warning. Hey drivers, this is your warning for you guys turning left, because there's an arrow. Then in white, the instructional side. Yield to pedestrians. So, even if my light was green here, when I'm ready to go, and there was a pedestrian in that crosswalk that you see to the left side of your screen, I would have to yield to that. Because the sign is giving me the warning of, hey, you, me, being in this turn lane to turn left. Turning vehicles left, here's your warning. And then in the white, here's your instruction. Yield to the pedestrian. They have a yield sign, the word to, and the pedestrian sign. Pretty easy. The hard part would be is once we pull out here and conducting that left turn, that you need to make sure you're paying attention to that, because there's a good chance drivers like these guys behind me, especially the one between us and the Lynx bus, would not properly respond to that, and they may honk at you, they may get upset, but the law is indicating to here that you'd have to yield to a pedestrian in that crosswalk. Pretty cool? Probably not, but I think this stuff's cool because at least we get to talk about stuff. Hopefully this reaches one person. Hopefully someone goes, man, I heard Trooper Steve say that the law says this, or maybe you should do that. But keep in mind, the only reason I talk about this stuff is because I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want you to get into a crash. I think driving should be the most fun thing we do on a daily basis. I really, really believe that. It is the most freeing thing that we can do as people, as humans. We get to operate a piece of machinery and go places that we may never have gone before. I know that sounds so extreme, but it's truly should be the most fun thing. But in actuality, what is it? It is the most dangerous thing we do on a daily basis. And we act like there's not so much infrastructure out here that's trying to keep us safe. We're the first people, we as in humans, to blame everything else but ourselves when we're out here driving. And I get to see it, and it ticks me off, because I'm sorry, when the light turns red, that's for you to stop. The speed limit is there for you to follow. Because you, as a driver, choose to ignore things like this, that's on you. But everything else is here. As you're driving here, there are signs always, and it is your job to make sure you're paying attention. It's not the county, the city's job, the state's job to get your attention, unless something extenuating exists. But it's your job to know if you're going to make a left or right up here on Cimarron. It's your job to know that the light's red. And it's your job to stop and obey these traffic signs, because you're going to get hurt or you're going to kill somebody out here. And guys, I have seen so much death in the 37 years of my life that it sucks. It sucks so bad. And being here with you guys, it's why we talk about some of this just boring stuff, but I try to make it a little interesting so you could just get your attention a little bit. So I think we've talked this one out. Keep in mind, if you go back, you joined us late, if you go back and watch this, we were discussing the differences between roadway markings and traffic signs. At the end of the day, they work as a harmonious relationship together. One would not be able to function without the other one. There are some roadway markings that are regulatory, so you need to make sure you're paying attention and just do what we want you to do out here. I say we as in traffic. So drive safe, guys. Have an amazing day. Take it nice and easy. Please obey the signs. Come on. Driving's here for us. It's supposed to be fun. I'll talk to you guys later. Be blessed. Have a good one.